really nice because you go out with a team of medics, but if you get into expedition medicine, you might be going out as the only medic there. So essentially, if you get really sick and can't look after yourself, then you can't look after anyone else. That might mean the end of the trip for everybody. So preparation is key, which is super fun. So, for instance, you can't prepare for everything. We went to Sierra Leone. We got there, wandering around the town, and we met the Ebola prevention man. He had a loudspeaker and a giant poster about Ebola, and that's when you sort of realise that, oh, it's a bit different out here. As we were waiting in the airport, the first 4 cases of Ebola had come into Sierra Leone. So you can't prepare for Ebola, but you can probably prepare for everything else. I have less holiday photos, and this is my only slide, so sorry guys, but I do have a prop, so that's pretty exciting. I think that the best thing to do is do as much research as you can for yourself. So you need to look after yourself. You're all probably some kind of health professionals. You've got a basic level of knowledge, and everything is on the internet now. So start off, go to the Foreign Office website and have a little look. They're going to give you basic health information, what the main risks are. Also, for instance, if there's a big red warning that says, don't go, there's lots of Ebola, you then need to be thinking about, am I going to be able to keep myself safe on this expedition? There's also some other really good websites, just travel health. So Fit for Travel, it's an NHS website. So if you go to your GP practice, that's what they are going to go and look at to work out what you need to have. So it's by country, it's by region. It will tell you the immunisations you need, the things you can't get immunised against, what the risks are. And the next website is my personal favourite, is called, it's NAFNAC if you Google it, but it's Travel Health Pro. So this is an organisation that collect alerts for everywhere around the world. So if there's an outbreak of chikungunya, Ebola, they will log all of those from each country. So that's a really good thing for you, for yourself, when you're going on an expedition, to think, what are the risks? Because you might be, as you get more senior, doing the medical briefing to everybody. And if it's a disease you've never heard of before, and then someone puts their hand up and said, oh, my mum read on the internet, there's all this, it sort of puts you a bit on the back foot. So you can do a lot of research before you go. Then what you need to do is go to your doctor and get all the vaccinations. So you want all of them. If you're against vaccines and against malaria prophylaxis, you probably shouldn't go, because the chance of you dying is pretty high and you're in the wrong place. So a lot of you will have been travelling just with yourself, your friends, so you'll have the things. A lot of things last for years now, so they are expensive. If you're a student, it's expensive to go and get 8 different vaccinations if you have to pay for them, but you need to think, when I'm in the middle of Uganda, or when I'm in the middle of a rainforest in Peru, and I've got a temperature and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, it suddenly becomes a lot more important that you didn't want to pay for your yellow fever jab. So a lot of them last a long time now. A lot of the guidelines, so yellow fever lasts forever now. You don't need to get it every 10 years. Rabies, you don't need any. Once you've had your basic course, it lasts forever. So you just want to think, like, it's different if you're going on a, all-inclusive holiday to the Dominican Republic. You're unlikely to meet a rabid dog. But when you're sitting in the middle of a, village in Sierra Leone for 7 hours, and all of a sudden they're all, the dog's there looking at you, you start thinking, oh, I should have had that rabies jab. So get all the jabs. Then you want to think about things, so malaria is the other big one. You need to think sensibly about where you're going. If you're going, say, for instance, the Marathon des Sables, and you're going to sit in the Sahara Desert for the next 2 weeks, taking doxycycline because it's cheap, however, it makes you photosensitive, and you're the colour, tomato red by day 1, is not a sensible option. So you kind of need to think a bit through, where are you going? What are you going to do? And that kind of comes down to weighing up sort of the risks. So cost is a big impact. A lot of people, if you're a student, if you're on quite a tight budget and you want to go do these things, but you need to have a bit of a think. And again, there's lots of literature, but you need to talk it through with whoever you're talking to, your GP, because they're not necessarily going to be that familiar with what you're going to do. It's very different, yeah, going on your cruise around somewhere nice to going and sitting. You know, people go to Peru, but most people don't sit in the middle of a jungle. So you've got your malaria tablets, you've got your injections. The next thing you need to think about is what are you going to take with you. So expedition medicine is awesome. It's really, really fun. But you are not running the 240-kilometer race through the jungle in Peru. You're going to sit at a checkpoint, and it's awesome, and you get great fun. But you have to think, what am I going to do when I'm sitting at my checkpoint? So when we were in Sierra Leone with XL Medics, we went out to a checkpoint. We got there in the dark in the morning. We set up. Mine was the last checkpoint. The runners got a bit lost, so actually came through quite late on. So we were there for sort of, say, 10 hours. You're sitting there. You're not necessarily going to have shade, you know. So you need to start thinking about your kit, because part of you being able to treat other people is you staying healthy. If you sat in the sun for 4 hours and got sunstroke, you're no use to the runners coming through. So footwear is key. Your Havaianas are not going to cut it. So you need to think before you go, like, what's comfortable. You need to think, if you're going to sit in the middle of a jungle and get bitten, you need to be wearing, you know, long trousers. You're going to be telling all the runners at night, you need to be protecting yourselves. Prevention is better than cure. If you're sitting there in shorts and are covered in mosquito bites from head to foot, you're not setting a great example, and you'll get malaria or dengue or whatever's going around. And then the last thing is, like, what else do you need to take with you? So you need a first aid kit. So most of the things that happen when you're there are not something, so it's awesome having a load of morphine, and the ketamine I'm sure is great for everybody, but not going to use it that much on a day-to-day basis. So I brought my prop. This is my first aid kit. It's been around the world. It's actually in a Gucci bag my mum got free with some perfume in it, but it's wipeable and waterproof, which I think is key. This is to show that you don't need a lot of money. Most of my things came from Poundland or Wilkinson's, great recommendations. But you need to think, what do you need to keep yourself healthy for 2 weeks? So if you pop painkillers like they're Smarties and can't go a day without having paracetamol and ibuprofen, you need to take it with you, because Brett is not going to have painkillers for every single person for a 7-day trip. It's not possible. If you want to be thinking, you know, if you get the world's worst indigestion as soon as you're out of your natural habitat, or you get constipated by day 1, you need to have things with you to take. So I put another link. I went away with Raleigh, and for their volunteers, they do a great kind of kit list that every volunteer should have. And I think as a basic, it's very good. So things like plasters. If you get like a little blister on day 1, you're going to need all the plasters for the next week. Stretchy bandages, a sling, zinc oxide tape, all these sort of things that you would think, oh, it's okay, I'll just pop to boots, but there isn't a boots. So being prepared is everything. Expedition medicine is really, really fun. It's great to go with exiles because there's a lot of you and you get a lot of support. As you maybe get more senior or do more, you'll go away more by yourself. And from then, you are labelled as the doctor. So from the moment you get on the plane, you're sort of responsible to them till they get back on the plane at the other end. But in order to be able to look after everybody, you need to look after yourself first, and that has to be your main priority. And the best way to do that is prepare really well before you get there. So when you're there, you can just have the best time possible and, you know, make lots of friends and do all the fun stuff. So yeah, thanks very much. Any questions or just want to run to the toilet?